hopefully the lighting will be good. We've got our new good. So happy Friday, everyone. Uh-oh, something fell. I hope you guys are all doing good, staying safe, and at home, doing the home here videos 4 times a week. Your way came out of nowhere. Here's what we're giving away. This is a large t-shirt. So someone's going to get a yellow t-shirt. On Vicky picked out the color because it's an Easter thing, an Easter color.
Oh. I'm trying to figure out a way to make this into a mask.
Yeah.
Would that make a neat looking?
Scotland.
Hey, Joanne.
Lawrence, Jeremy Boland, Leonard Davis.
Cool. Well, thanks for spending some time with us, guys.
It's not showing me any problem at all. Also, really.
They're saying it's
buffering, but
buffering.
That's
well, maybe it'll take. There's. I'm surprised we have a connection at all with all the people that are home and everybody on the internet rather than being out doing what they normally do. I'm surprised anybody has bandwidth to be on the internet. It's crazy. 300 million people and everybody's at home watching Netflix. And
ain't technology wonderful? Yeah, I spent all afternoon just after I did my walk. I watched videos all afternoon.
issues. Turn your Shirley. Turn it off and turn it off.
well, welcome. Thank you for tuning in.
North Carolina problems, especially on Facebook. So it's just millions of people on the internet.
Yeah. Well, this should be YouTube Live.
Brad and Diana are here.
Hey, Brad and Diana. Oh, my gosh.
Diana.
Wow.
Let's see.
People all over.
Big hello from your favorite chubby buddy in Wisconsin. Greg Wallen. Oh.
All right, guys, we are going to get into the questions because I got an email from one of our people, Mickey Sewell, sent me an email with a bunch of questions, and I thought they were really good and really good subject for tonight. The first thing that he talked about, the first question he had was more of an observation. When he started making signs, he liked some of the stuff that we had with scallops on it. And I actually talked about Dad's country music collection with the scallop signs behind him when he was doing one of his senior moments. But his scallops weren't looking the same. And he realized that what happened was, instead of using the 45-degree chamfer bit that we use, he was using the scallops were very narrow. They weren't as deep. And he couldn't quite figure out why until he realized that we were using a 40. We literally use a 45-degree chamfer. Video 95. I go over a bunch of scalloping type of issues on. So it says, what's a good practice to follow when deciding how? Cat and Rudy. So what would your advice?
And the thickness of the board, you have a half-inch board. If you got a board that's 3/4 of an inch, which is a 1-inch board, out and maybe just slightly past that.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish. I'm gonna start over again and see if it doesn't help. I don't think it will, but
Okay.
So anyway, what I do is I'll set it so that when it cuts, it's cutting just deeper, and you can go a little bit deeper and leave an edge in there, and it just makes a great looking scallop. But I usually scalloping, which will raise your board up, which will give you the same depth.
okay,
So,
I'm gonna shut this down because everybody's saying don't go away. We'll be right back.
You just went live again?
Yeah, we're live again.
well, I hope you stuck around. Could we have these technical difficulties?
Should you always pull the router toward the board when you scallop? When I rewatched 95, I noticed you pulled, and I have always pushed. So when you're scalloping board, I just tend to have the router on the other side of the board and pull the board in. What's your...
Well, with me, sometimes it's set upright, I'll just go all the way around it.
Yeah.
It won't matter to me because I can set a board up and do the full 360-degree scallop. I've done so many of them, literally easy, and it really isn't that difficult. It takes a little practice, but I go all the way around it.
And for me,
I don't even know if I can't get anybody to the chats, so bear with me, guys.
For me, I like to do on the other side of the board, simply because then all the sawdust is going away from me and it's not coming right. If I'm scalloping this side and pushing, I can do that, and I have done that, but then all the sawdust comes at me, whereas if I go on to the other side of the board and then turn it around, then the sawdust is being blown away.
Well, yeah, but I'm one of those guys. Sawdust makes me happy.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. All right, so you want us to just keep going?
They said it's better. Some say it's still iffy, but it's better.
Sorry, guys. I honestly, I think it's just
think it's the
so many
bandwidth,
people.
yeah.
So many people are on the internet. I really think it has a lot to do with it.
Hang in there with us if you can. We'll try to make it interesting. It'll be worth it for the time you spend.
And go back and watch it later on. Hopefully it'll clear up. So then Mickey was talking about having, as he did layout on something, he was having the ink rub off as he was...
Frank said a buffering Rhoten is better than no Rhoten.
So as he was carving these outset letters, his router base was rubbing across marsh ink. He doesn't care for the primer. He uses the ink, and that's fine. Yeah. So this ink, sometimes if it gets too warm, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but sometimes if it gets too warm, it comes out kind of powdery. And then it comes out almost half dry. So that could be part of the issue. Another issue, it could be that it didn't dry long enough before you started carving and it wasn't dry. What was another issue? We talked about it before too.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. The gentleman, where's the big snow dog one?
Yeah.
His name is Scott Oldroyd from the UK.
Hey, Scott. I know that name.
It's his first time watching live.
I know Scott. I've talked to Scott many times through email. How you doing, Scott?
Yeah, sorry.
Had this issue, but what I did do is I found that I went out and did an experiment today with just a little layout, little rose layout, and set it out in the sun for a few minutes. It dried quickly, and then what I did was, so if you guys are having this problem, then just take a real quick clear spray. This is the one I use, but you could probably use the Rust-Oleum Clear or whatever, and I just did a real quick coat over the top of this
thing. Made a real light coat.
Yeah, just hit it real light. It won't matter because it's all going to sand off anyway. But just put a real quick coat on this. Me do when I do the, I've started doing that on the transfer coat of this on there, and that completely eliminates that black coming off. So there's a tip for you that actually I just kind of learned recently. So Mickey, that's what you do. If you're having this kind of a problem with your layout, put a real quick coat of spray on there. It's next. Oh, safety. So let's talk about safety. Mickey was having a trouble. He said that every once in a while, when he goes to take a bit out of his router, he will slice his fingers by, which we probably all have done. But here's the thing, if this router bit, this is loose right now, I've already loosened it. If it doesn't come out, if it doesn't loosen up, then what's happened is your collet just hasn't released. So this has that double lock on it, but if you're using a less expensive router that doesn't have this double lock on the collet itself, remember, once you loosen this, if that router, I'm going to turn this sideways. Let's say that router bit is still stuck and you or something very carefully and back on the shaft. Okay, back on the shaft, not out here where the flute is, but back on the shaft. Just tap it a little bit. What's happening? Jar, tap it. It kind of lets that thing bust loose a little bit. It's the same kind of thing here. That collet just it's been compressed, and now you loosen that nut, and it hasn't released yet. So if you just tap on it, and you could tap right on the nut
and
itself.
Be aware that if you tap with a steel wrench and you hit the cutting flute anywhere, it'll break that carbide. So if nothing else, if you happen to have a screwdriver laying there with a plastic handle, you can tap on it with a plastic handle, and you can't hurt that carbide with a plastic handle. So just be sure that you don't hit the cutting edge with the steel. Again, like Eric said, you might tap on the nut, but tap on it and get it to release before you pull it out. That way you won't be slicing your
And you might put on a pair of gloves. That might be an extra.
Yeah,
it's just that collet has been compressed, and you loosen that nut, and it just didn't. That collet is still compressed there, so you just got to jar it, and it'll open right up. It's super easy.
Way back years and years ago, some guy invented a pair of pliers. They were.
Well, but pliers on that, you don't want to put pliers on the shaft of your router bit, do you?
No, I'm being facetious. If you need to grip that hard enough to pull out, better use pliers.
Right out of there. Okay.
I was just kidding about the pliers.
Good. All right. So, next question: inset versus outset. I have challenge when deciding when to go inset versus outset. So when you've got really skinny lines, do you always do them inset? Not necessarily. Traditionally, how have you decided whether you do something inset or outset if somebody sends you some kind of special artwork or not?
Well, it just all depends. If the letters are real close and everything is real tight, if the text real tight, then I'll make it inset letters. If I've got plenty of room, then I'll profile around the letters and make them outset letters.
And sometimes if you're doing a commission job for somebody, I will always ask them, do you show them the difference between inset and outset. So sometimes it's a personal preference, and sometimes the customer wants inset. So first things first, if it's a customer order, they really should make sure whether the customer wants inset or outset. Beyond that, if it becomes your choice, like Dad was saying, depends on how much room you have around what you're carving.
And the size of the letter too. If it's 1 inch or smaller, generally I'll carve them inset because they're easier to carve.
Everything's quiet because Bull's not here.
If they're above 1 inch, and I have the choice, I'll make them outset because I think they look better.
Yeah, so
like Scott said, sometimes it just has to suit the picture. It has to go
that's
with
right.
whatever you're doing.
Yep, that's exactly right. Sometimes it depends on what it is. Everyone's a little bit different. Generally, if I'm taking a piece of artwork and it's black and white, generally carve in, because if that artwork looks good that way, then it will translate and it will look good carved, because the black is it's a match to what the artwork is. So that helped me kind of simplify that. So, but as far as inset to outset letters, I like outset letters better. I will, if I have a choice, and if it works out, if I've got enough room around them, I'll always make them outset, just because I like doing outset letters better.
That's the way I am.
Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, he says, my DeWalt 611, which is the corded version of this is the cordless one, is getting louder and louder. I watched video 208 and wondered, do I need to replace my brushes soon? A replacement pack of 4 brushes are only $15 on Amazon, and is it really worth the trouble? Today, do you replace brushes or buy a new router? Well, for the 611s or routers like this, since this is like $120, $130 router, it's much cheaper to replace the brushes, go through the hassle of replacing the brushes, than the router. If it's one of the Harbor Freight $29 Drill Masters, I don't know. I've never replaced the brushes.
Shirley, I think you need to reboot. She said, oh my God, my picture went black.
Oh no. But here's the what I noticed about this question, Mickey, if you're watching. What I noticed about this question is you said my router is getting louder and louder, and you think you want to know if you need to replace the brushes. The brushes have nothing to do with the loudness of the router. If your router is getting louder and louder, it's either a bushing or a going bad. It's got really nothing to do with the brushes. Would you
Yeah,
concur?
absolutely. Brushes don't make any noise. The armature spinning makes noise. The only thing that causes it to get louder would be the bush, either a bushing, which is a bronze bushing in place of a bearing, or the bearing is going out. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that would cause it to get louder.
Now, if your bearing's going out in your router, then chances are it's going to be a lot more hassle to change the bearings in a router. Then you might be thinking about replacing it.
Yeah, because if you change the bearings, it's a little bit more difficult, quite a bit more difficult.
It's a lot more difficult. Yeah.
They have service centers that work on them, but generally, for them to change the bearings, you might pay $75 to $100. You might want to just go with the new router.
Yeah.
Scott said,
But don't try to change the bearings yourself unless you know what you're doing,
all right, so
because you'll mess.
brushes.
Works if you've
Yeah.
got. Yep.
Especially with Harbor Freight, because Harbor Freight's watch Harbor Freight, because I don't buy too much made in China, and especially now. But Harbor Freight does have a good guarantee.
Well, and the rigid, I know the rigid router from Home Depot, the 2401, the R2401. I think you have to register it, but if you go through that process when you buy it, it's $100 router, and then it's a lifetime guarantee. If something goes wrong, you can get it replaced. So that is about it, guys. That's our questions. Do we have more questions? Anything we can help with?
No, Jim White is here.
Hey, Jim.
Playing the bass. What are you going to do with the bass?
I just brought
Brad.
it because it was with the router.
Oh, okay.
Brad says sledgehammer it and buy a new one. That's an Eric
That
technique.
that sounds
right
like something I'd do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there. All
that
right,
with
guys,
his
I'm going to
Santa.
ask the trivia question. Is everybody ready
Now, what's this for the giveaway on the
for
shirt?
the giveaway?
Yep.
Yes, and it's only domestic. You can't still get to international. That's really glary.
Sorry. I like that
All right,
black on the
Frank, you're
yellow.
picking up on Bull's bad
That
habit.
really looks cool.
It's Eastery, so we gotta have yellow. All right, here's the question. Listen up. Listen carefully.
Okay.
I took it off of Apple mirroring. Okay, I surely you're way above me. I have no idea what that even means. All right, okay, Gigi, Google ready. Question.
get the-
Listen carefully. Don't answer before I get to the full part of the question.
Otherwise, you'll get it wrong.
All right. So every year there is 17.3 billion with a B dollars spent on 17.3 billion. So you got that part? 17.3 billion dollars is spent on Easter, and you can be within like 5% as this. What percentage of that goes towards candy? $17.3 billion is spent every year for Easter. What percentage of that is spent on candy?
You can't win the shirt, so don't answer.
I can guess,
Ooh.
but I don't know.
Frank, well, we're going to hold on. Frank's close. Anybody else?
I'm glad I'm.
What percentage of 17.3? I'll give it a few more minutes.
She was looking at another question about how many jelly beans does America consume a year
In weight or number?
in number. It was like 16 billion.
Billion.
16
yeah.
billion jelly beans Americans eat every year.
All right. Winner's going to go to Frank because he answered first. It's actually 86%. Frank guessed 85%.
Wow.
Nice guess, Frank.
Good
And
job,
some
Frank.
said, I'm assuming you guessed. You may have not guessed. You may have known or whatever. Some said 87, so it was close right in there.
Oh.
But Frank was the first one to answer. So Frank, got the shirt. Frank Jenkins. Congratulations, Frank.
You know what? He has another yellow one. I've
Yes,
seen
he
him.
does.
He's got a second yellow one.
He guessed, he said. Good guess, Frank.
I've seen him wearing his yellow shirt.
He said when he first got it, he said he wore it to like a craft show or something, and people were asking about it.
I was.
Yeah,
I dropped my big old Texas pencil this morning. I was thinking about you, Frank. Frank made a big old pencil like the one I usually wear on my hat. He made a big old pencil with a big nut on a magnet on it.
Oh yeah, it was that big around.
I've got it on a shelf on my wall. And when I was putting on my robe this morning, my sleeve went and hit it, fell on the floor. So anyway, thanks for the pencil, Frank.
Scott, you can ask. Products are Eric's products available in the UK. What are the possibilities and how much interest is there from the UK in purchasing minus shipping? There's no interest. It's just email me, Scott, and I will give you the details on how to do that because we can do it through eBay and it's way cheaper.
Yeah, I think what Scott's asking is how many people in the UK are interested in buying our products. I don't think he's talking interest in, as far as fees or anything like that.
We don't have that many, but that's why we just do it on eBay.
We have a few, but yeah, Scott, there's a new, and for anybody that doesn't know, our international shipping has pretty much changed. I don't think we're doing much DHL these days. Now eBay has a process that makes it really, really cool, easy for you guys, easy for us, and it saves at least
more than half of what DHL
it's at least half.
It's an international shipping program.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is we take product and list, and then you're eligible for this international shipping program, and the rates are really
and you know what it's going to cost you before you place the order.
Right.
If you don't want the order, don't pay it.
That's right. No commitment until you see all of your
Frank
costs.
says now he has 3.
Now he has 3. Good. All right.
Where can I find the Hellman's Cedar Stain and Spray? I can't find anywhere up here. That's from Jim White.
Jim? Is that from Canada?
No,
that's
Jim White.
Jim. The cedar spray is actually Krylon. The cedar spray that I use, the spray stain, is actually Krylon. I found it at Ace Hardware. That's where I get mine. Just my local Ace Hardware down in Bullhead City here. So Ace Hardware, if they don't carry it, and it is kind of a odd item.
Gigi says that's where she gets it too, Ace Hardware.
Yeah, so if that's what you're looking for, check with Ace. If they don't carry it, they can probably order it. But it's Krylon.
Well,
it's not Helmsman.
If they order it, you might have to order a case of it.
I don't know. I don't know.
But if they don't have it in the store, they can order it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't see any other questions.
Anything else, guys?
What about the summer thing being switched to August?
Yeah. So.
There's Mickey. Mickey, he just answered all your questions.
Well, I think I did. If I missed any, Mickey, then let me know. But I kind of
said he just came on. He'll rewatch it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering his questions. Bad weather in Sugar Land, so connection keeps breaking up.
Yeah, the Maker Summer School is now in August. I think it's August 13th through the 15th, something 13th, 14th, 15th, something like that. We'll be talking more about it. But it is in Cleveland. It's at a new location, which sounds like it's going to be much better. So we're hoping that, like all of us, we're hoping that this pandemic thing is past us, by mid-May. So, or sooner, hopefully. But anyway, so it is scheduled. So Vicki and I will be in Cleveland, if all goes right, in mid-August. So you'll hear more about it as it comes up.
Is this going to affect the class that you guys teach at your place? Well, it did last month, so we don't know. We won't know until we see what happens. The next one probably in the fall. So
yeah, we'll definitely, unless we're not past this thing, we will still be doing one in October. October is when we normally do it. Yeah. mid-October. But we'll have announcements about that again coming up in the next months.
That wants to know when we're coming to the UK.
I would love to come to the UK. That's always been on my list. So
I was gonna go. Funny thing, I was gonna go today. I'm trying to get a ticket, and they said I can't fly. So
Oh, wow.
sorry, I was gonna go, but I just can't make it this time.
we'll look into that, Scott. So
Guys, quit pounding on the table.
okay,
We can't even go to Canada, let alone the UK.
yeah. Well, we can't even
Charles
go.
Woodruff says, I promise to not kick the bucket until I learn how to do resin from Vicky.
All right. Anything else, guys?
Somebody wanted to know if you have a hot date, because a late night date, because you look sharp.
No, I don't. I had a date. It's been about 9 or 10 years ago, but she didn't show up.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry, Gary Zellner just got here.
Hey, Gary.
I haven't seen any other. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you for sending me that video, Gary. That was really cool. That little sign you made. Nobody else knows what I'm talking about, but Gary knows.
Oh.
Okay. I guess
Okay.
that's about it.
All right. That's it.
Okay.
All right, guys. So tomorrow morning, Senior Moment, episode 31. You'll really like it. Dad's doing a special project on his mailbox, so I think you guys will really like that one. And Monday will be the final video on the Wynola private community signs, and I'm happy with the way those came out. So you'll see that on Monday, and then Wednesday, I'm not sure yet. So we have another big project coming up that I've already kind of started, and you'll see videos on that in the next week or so.
Oh, I have one too.
Yep, and Vicky's working on a project too. Yep. So, all right, guys. Well, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay away from people.
Keep your distance.
Yeah.
That's
I want to design a T-shirt that's going to say, capture your cough, smother your sneeze, keep your distance, please. That's going to be on a T-shirt one of these days.
Okay.
one of those. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm just reading theirs. Frank says prayers for medical and first responders.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Especially our people, our heroes in scrubs. Those people that are in the hospital treating the sick people. I mean, they're putting their lives on the line every day, and they keep going in and keep doing
Yeah.
it. Those are special kind of heroes.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
All right, you guys. Everybody stay safe and say goodnight, Gracie.
We'll see you next Friday.